It says recording on the corner.
Yeah, we should be recording now.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Elle the Law Student. So you might recognise the two people on the screen at the moment, but I will let them introduce themselves.
I am James, or Everest if you want, whichever. I go to Sheffield Hallam and study fashion design.
Hi. Sorry, this is so awkward. Hi, I'm Amy and I'm going to Leeds Trinity University and I'm studying English and creative writing.
The three of us have known each other for so long, basically like a long time. I've known James since we were like 4, and Amy we met when we were like 11, 12. So this is basically going to be just an excuse for us to talk to each other, and we'll answer some of your questions at the same time. So I asked you on Instagram basically to ask any questions that you have about being LGBTQ plus at universities. Some prospective students who are part of the LGBTQ plus community asking some questions, and we've also had some allies and we've also had some current students, but obviously like everybody will be anonymous, so I'm just gonna fire away and you two can kind of give your experience. Okay, so I think the first one, which makes sense to start with, is do you think in general the student body is accepting, and is there more that can be done?
I think for especially at Hallam, it's pretty accepting. Like, I don't feel discriminated against or anything while I'm there. I feel comfortable, safe, and it's pretty chill.
Yeah, ours is pretty good for it as well. We're a Catholic uni, so like the first
really?
day that we were like in churches and there's nuns that like live on site, so I was like, this is gonna be terrible, but like
no way, I had no idea about that. That's so cool.
So like I was like, no, this is not gonna work, but then they went to Pride, like some of the teachers and stuff, Leeds Pride last year, and there's obviously groups for it, and it's really good.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. I didn't even know that some universities were still like linked to any particular religion. Yeah, that's
whack.
In terms of like just an outsider looking in, I found that since going to university there's definitely been like it's more accepted and just more normalized than I ever found it was like at school or just kind of
definitely.
You know, at home.
There's a lot more like LGBT students obviously at uni as well, so it's like a lot easier to actually get like the word out about it, and except like at secondary school there was like 20 maybe that were actually out and out there, but now there's like hundreds at university. So
yeah, how easy or hard was it to make friends when you first went to university?
It was pretty easy for me. I have like a big mouth. I was literally talking to someone who I didn't know about Drag Race, and then my new friend was like, Drag Race? I'm like, yeah. So yeah.
I'm very quiet, so it was a bit difficult, but just because I am quiet in nature. And then I got drunk and told everyone I was bi, so and everyone was like, yeah, it works. So it was fine, really.
I always found like in general, because I think everybody, and I remember Amy especially speaking to you before we both went to uni, how terrified we both were about making friends, and I think that in general like everybody is completely in the same boat, and so if you're scared about making friends, somebody else is equally scared about making friends, and you just end up like
especially like at uni as well, everyone on your course is doing something that they want to do, and you all have something in common already. So it's easy to make friends there, like at school, when everyone does different things.
Yeah,
that's so true. Yeah.
Not to say, don't make all your friends in the first week. Like, it's not quite that simple. You will keep meeting friends throughout the year. A lot of the people I'm friends with now, I only met at the end of like first year, beginning of second year. So it's a process, and you keep meeting new people, and you find who you're right with.
Yeah, 100%. I think, there's like people who I met in my second year who are now my best friends at uni, who I'd just not really had anything to do with in my first year, and these things just kind of strangely happen. And equally on the flip side, there are so many people that I spoke to loads in Freshers Week who I've not really spoken to since, you know. It's one of the nice things I think about uni. So when you both applied to university, did you specifically look into whether there was a prominent gay community at that university or in that area, or was that not something you ever thought about?
mean, I grew up we all grew up pretty near Sheffield, so I kind of knew parts about it already. So I didn't really look into it that much. But I feel like if I was going away somewhere farther, than Sheffield, then I would look into it a bit more probably.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Leeds growing up as well, like traveling there and back. So I knew there was a community and there was pride and that kind of thing. Obviously I didn't realise looking too much about at the specific university, considering I ended up at a Catholic one. But it's fine, you just go and you sort things out and you figure them out as you go along.
And then this kind of ties into the last one. So do most universities have an LGBTQ plus society, or like specific events that you can go to?
I presume so. I mean, at Hallam, there's like, especially like around Pride time, there's like tons of like leaflets and stuff you can do, like places you can go and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't speak for every uni, but I think it's similar.
I think just look at them. I don't know, obviously, but I know a few of the unis around us, like they've got that, and obviously we've got it. So probably. Yeah. 2020, they probably do.
I feel like in most universities, if not all, you'll tend to have either some kind of like rep who you can go to if there's ever a problem for the student union, but also and different groups who are there for support, but also social events and that kind of thing. I know in Oxford we've got like quite a few kind of either support groups or just societies or socials that are specifically tailored to the LGBTQ plus community. So yeah, I think that I would be very surprised if there was a university that didn't have at least something, even if it wasn't particularly formalised, So this one's interesting because I actually can't remember how old you both were when you came out, but it was there a difference between being out at school and at uni? And obviously, James, you went to college, so again, that's slightly different as well.
I came out at college. Well, I came out as bi in college. I think like towards the end of like the second year of college, I came out as gay. I don't know really why I waited so long, but I mean, probably it's just stuff to do with like the people. Like there's a lot of people at school, but at college is like a small group of people that I trusted more. But yeah, I think that's right.
I came out about 13, I want to say, maybe 13, 14-ish. And it was a very different experience from being out at uni versus like back then. A lot of people there as friends would just stop talking to me. Obviously, like a lot of that was fixed because we were young and we didn't understand. But a lot of people stopped talking to me, and it was a very kind of hostile feeling from a lot of people.
Yeah, I remember when this was going on. It was pretty.
Oh yeah, it was a situation.
Yeah.
But then when it came out to people at uni, everyone was kind of just fine with it. Even people at uni were still having questions about themselves and who they were, and I had a few people come to me and be like, yeah, I'm questioning this, can we talk about it? So it was a lot more open, more dialogue, friendly than in comparison to school.
Something that I've noticed, and like this actually links into a question that I was going to ask later that somebody asked, but I always found, like, especially at uni, it's just not even really something that people care about. Like, I think that the only situation in which those kind of discussions come up is if you're specifically talking about some kind of event or some kind of activism involving that community, and like then that people will mention in passing their sexuality. And in my experience, that's never ever kind of like even triggered I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know, in my experience it's almost been like not even really mentioned, but simply because people don't really care, like but I think that actually does link into something that somebody asked, which was, what's the best way to respond if somebody comes out to you? And I get this kind of concern because I think that whenever I've had people, this was mostly at school, because as I said, at uni, it's like just really not a big deal at all. But I think at school, especially, when people would come out to me, I would almost like not know how to react, because in some ways I was like, okay, like, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't change anything at all. But also I didn't want to downplay because I knew that was a big deal for them to come out, and so I didn't ever want to like downplay the significance of what they'd just done. But also I didn't want to make it like this big deal, because quite frankly, like, it doesn't change the person that I'm friends with. So that was a very long tangent, but basically I kind of understand where that question is coming from, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were.
I say, like, I'd respond pretty much the same way, like, cool, and then like I'd ask them if they were okay and if they wanted to talk about anything. Just make sure that they knew that I would always be there for them, kind of thing, but like that I still accept them 100% no matter what.
Yeah, and ask as well. I think one thing that I really needed was like the like being like, are you okay, that kind of thing, how are you doing,
Okay.
like about that. One of the first people I came out to, I was obviously terrified, and she was like, it doesn't change anything, are you okay, do you want to talk? And it really helped. It calms you, so just give them reassurance and let them know that you're there for them.
I thought this was quite an interesting one. I don't know how relevant it is to your like respective universities, but I definitely think it's relevant to Oxford. But for example, in Freshers Week, sometimes, for example, the like gay nightclubs in the town or the city will be on the freshers timetable, and sometimes they're kind of almost seen as these like quirky nights out that all the students go to regardless of their sexuality, gender, anything, and almost like in a tourist attraction kind of way. And this person was wondering, like, what's your attitude to that? Do you think that we should try and maintain these as just spaces for the LGBTQ plus community, or like, yeah, basically what's your thought on that?
I don't like really see an issue with it as long as it's still LGBTQ safe.
Okay.
Like, as long as it's not like allies like going in and no one like going in to cause harm or like disrupt things.
Yeah, I know a few of the places around here, the like gay nightclubs. There's a lot of straight people that go in and kind of like look for, how vulgar can I be?
Okay.
They look for threesomes essentially with gay people.
Okay.
And it's like going and picking them out, and it's like, no, get out.
That's creepy.
Yeah. And just sometimes people just make it like really weird and uncomfortable and straight, and it's just weird energy. But like, if you're gonna go and be respectful, I don't see any reason why not. Just don't make it weird.
Yeah, interesting one. How easy is it to find a same-sex partner at university?
I didn't do that. I found an opposite sex partner.
Can't relate.
But she's bi as well, so does it count?
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine if he goes to the right places, that'll be great. You just gotta find them. You hang out with them. The group of LGBTs. You find them. You hang out with them. You target them, and then you pick one.
Just pin them down.
Yeah. Sometimes you do that, and you still end up with an opposite sex partner. But it's okay.
I feel like there's definitely not just one answer to this question, because everyone will have different experiences. I'm sure there's a lot of people, gay, straight, everything, kind of everywhere, that have found their lifelong partners at university, and many people who have not. So
you could just go on Tinder, do like the same gender one, and then just set it to like a 1 mile radius, so it's just your university that you get. That's always an option.
Isn't there like now actually a Tinder thing just for your university, or am I making that up? Like, I swear there was something like Tinder, what, specifically designed for students, or I'm gonna look this up, hang on.
That's wild.
Oh, I love that. I'm here for it.
I'm not making it up. It's called Tinder Uni.
Oh my god.
No way.
Yeah. I'm
here for this.
So yeah, you can only sign up if you've got a .ac.uk email address. And so it matches you with other students. So for example, Amy, in Leeds, there's a million universities.
Yeah, there's like
so
four.
So you could still be matched up with like students from any of those universities, but they would all be like Leeds University students. Same for you, James.
That's handy.
That's hilarious.
But interesting.
I went on a little bit of a Tinder thing at the beginning of uni, and all I can give the advice is don't match with someone from your course and don't date anyone from Beckett. You're welcome. You're welcome, Leeds kids.
To Becky, I feel attacked.
What?
I was going to go to Becky. I feel like attacked.
Well, sorry, but no one would date you. Wow.
We know.
This is hard.
No.
Do you think that the Pride movement is inclusive of all races and religions?
I think it could be more inclusive.
You've got some work to do there.
Yeah, work.
A little bit.
I thought we're heading in the right direction. But we could get there faster, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard for us to talk about it because we're a bunch of whites.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I think definitely needs it's a work in progress.
I think it's always hard I think this is just such a common theme in activism in general. Like, if, for example, when you look at feminism, and there's been there's been a large group of people calling out the feminist movement and saying, look, this is all very good for like middle class white women, but you're not being inclusive of the broader community, especially of Black women. And you know, you even find it in feminism where trans women are being excluded from these conversations. And so I think it's good that we're having these discussions. Like, I think it's good that we're addressing the problems with people kind of trying to do good but not meeting the mark as such. That's kind of most of the more structured questions, because I've like blended most of them together. The main thing that I wanted to know was just a general overview of kind of what has been any of the struggles that you've encountered either at school or university from being part of the LGBTQ plus community, and like, have those kind of got better or worse since going to university? And yeah, I just kind of want to hear about your experiences, really. I think that'd be nice.
I think the main struggle at school was just not feeling comfortable enough around, not everyone, but a lot of people there to come out, because I definitely knew, but I think a lot of people probably knew like back then, but I just didn't feel comfortable enough to come out then. But then, like, when I went to college and uni, it's just a completely different ballpark. Like, you come into your own, and so much easier just to talk about whatever, really.
Especially because at university, a lot of us are now maturing into adults. Scary. So we're more willing to like talk and listen and actually have conversations, where our kids at school are more like, ew, that's gross, and it's like immediately just dismiss it all, and like children do. So going to university is just like, so it's like a weight off your shoulders, if you will, because coming out to people is just, it gets easier, people are more understanding. My experience has just been all around amazing, honestly.
Good, I'm really glad. So, you know how, for example, often you've been at school since you're 4 years old, and the people around you have known you since that point. And I personally always thought that like everybody just still saw me in the same way that they'd seen me for the past 17 years or something of my life, you know. Do you ever feel like sometimes going to university or just like moving away from that school setting can help in terms of feeling more comfortable with your own sexuality and gender, because you're not kind of having to adhere to everybody's previous ideas as to who you are, and you can almost like redefine what the world sees? Or do you think it's something else?
I think it's definitely kind of like a new start kind of thing. Like, it's new people who don't have any opinions on you like whatsoever. Yeah, I think it's easier and better, like, overall. I feel more comfortable being myself at uni. Yeah.
There's definitely a chance to bring forward the more authentic you, because you change and you grow. But when you're at school, you're stuck. Like, everyone sees you as the person, like you said, when you were younger. Even like teachers and stuff see you as that person. So it's hard to actually get across that you change and your interests are changing and your views are changing. Going to university, it's a fresh start essentially, because like, how many people do you know that like are from, like, if you're from like a little town like all we are, like, how many people do you know that are also going to that university? You know, there's how many people are still in the same course as you. There's a lot of new people and a lot more of a chance to just kind of go, look, this is me, and just wipe that all away. And it's great.
That's really cool. Yeah, I feel like everybody kind of finds that in some ways, but I feel as though from just watching you two go to university, like you've definitely just become completely different people, but in some ways I don't think you are completely different people. I think you're basically the people who you've always been but have never been able to show that, and that's kind of the impression that I've got. And it's been so nice to see you both just like grow so much in confidence and just be so much more comfortable in your own skin. Yeah, it's been lovely.
I feel a big part of that is as well, like, it's so much more inclusive at uni, because like, at school, like, I know it's like just changed, I think, in some places, but LGBTQ, like, in sex ed and stuff.
Yeah.
But like at uni, you can ask and people will more than likely know answers if you ask like the right people. And it's just more like comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with like the support from teachers is just, it's completely different because they've seen a lot more than I think secondary school and primary school teachers have seen, because they're used to dealing with like trivial teen issues, not like gender identity and sexuality and that kind of thing. Meanwhile, the people at university, they've seen a lot more, the lecturers, so it's a lot easier to kind of get that support and talk about it with people essentially.
Yeah, I always found like, and this is obviously from a different like viewpoint, but also I feel like there's such a difference between school, where you're, regardless of you know, the fact that you're 18, some people are even like 19 by the time they leave school or college or wherever, you know, you're still very much seen as the child in the situation, whereas at university you're an adult, like you're an equal, and you're there to discuss like your ideas, and you're there to talk about your academic thoughts, and you're there to kind of just fulfill your own potential, and so I guess that kind of plays into it as well. Like you're never going to be looked down on, like no one will think, oh, you know, you think that this is your sexuality, but you're just a child, so you know, you're a proper
adult. Are you
adult.
sure about that? You'll grow out of it in a few years.
Yeah, I know you in particular had some not pleasant experiences with school.
We had like the head teacher was like, okay, so you're going through a phase, and I was like, excuse me, what?
It's been a bloody long phase.
Still happening. I'm 20 now and it's still going on, so are you sure? And it was ridiculous essentially. Obviously I was running a group from year 9 all the way up until I left, and we got funding I think 6 months before I actually left, like an actual budget and that kind of thing. And they were always trying to get us involved in like projects, and when people would come round they'd like bring us forward and we'd do like little lunches with guests, and then the second no one was there they'd get shoved in a little classroom that was like no one could find it, and just kind of ignored. It is kind of like, it's just a bit more for show for them, but they didn't care. But at university now everyone's like, yes.
I think it's so much more student-led as well. Like if you want to create a student society, you create that student society, and you don't have to rely on the school or the university or whatever to sort out funding for you or anything. You organize those things on your own, and you kind of don't have to ask for permission in a sense. Very, very final question before I let you go and have your tea. What do you think that like cis straight university students can do to be good allies and to just make sure that the LGBTQ plus community feel safe and secure and like they can fulfill their academic potential at university? If there is like anything in particular.
I just like educate yourself, because like last year I had some people, they're like cis, straight guys, women, all I guess, and they were like, but why is pride still a thing? Why isn't straight pride? And it's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Let's not go. Let's not do it. Nope. So
happening.
Ask like questions respectfully, I guess.
Yeah, and also like learn to offer support, if that makes sense, because like there'd be like times when things were getting kind of rough and that kind of stuff, and people would just kind of like ignore it or push it one side and see like it not as a real issue. So even if like, because we're like a very sporty university, so there's a lot of like rugby lads and football lads and that kind of thing, you don't really want to like look at that kind of stuff. Just like be a bit more comfortable around it, because no one's gonna eat you. just learn to be like, you okay, what's going on, and don't react so shocked when someone does come out, especially like I said, if you're a rugby lad or a football lad, or because it's not that big a deal. Just calm down.
Like, everyone's people at the end of the day. Like, it's not a big deal.
And we're all there for the same reason, to get an education. We're not here to, I don't know, ruin your life because we like girls or we like boys.
Well, thank you. That's been really interesting. I've had so much fun as well. So, but yeah, I'll stop recording now. If you want to say bye-bye.
Bye.